Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, the King of Fighters 15 beta is now over. And, well, I figure now is as good a time as any to talk about it. Both my positive impressions and my negative impressions. Although I'm going to tell you right off the bat, for the most part, my impressions of the King of Fighters 15 after the beta are near overwhelmingly positive. It simply and truly is a fantastic game. Whatever negatives I have to say will in the end be massively outweighed by the positives. Because frankly, it's just a good game and the beta was a great experience overall. To give you my experience, I was playing every day the beta was live. My team, I just played one fixed team. It was always Shermie, Dolores, and Yashiro. I almost never got to play Yashiro, and if I did, I almost certainly lost. I have no experience with the character. 99% of my games were Shermie and Dolores, basically. So that all said here, I guess let's talk some of the positives first. So positive number one, the netcode. So if you're unaware, King of Fighters 15 is using actual GGPO. So yes, it's rollback netcode, but it is the officially licensed GGPO. So they don't have their own weird homebrew rollback netcode. So no disasters like Street Fighter 5, right? And for the most part, it works great. The only quibble I could give it is compared to, say, Guilty Gear Strive, the netcode seems to handle wonky rollback worse. No netcode handles wonky rollback good at all, right? But just between the two, in a direct comparison between King of Fighters and Guilty Gear Strive, if someone has bad Wi-Fi, you're definitely going to feel it more in King of Fighters than compared to Guilty Gear Strive. That said, if someone has a decent to good connection, and especially if they're wired, it basically feels exactly like offline. I don't feel any hindrance from offline play. It feels like they're just directly beside me. So all in all, big thumbs up for the netcode. I'm not going to lie, going into this, netcode was my single biggest fear, as SNK doesn't have the best track record. In fact, they're sort of known for having the worst netcode of all fighting games of all history in the end, right? So knowing that the netcode works and it's very playable, that is truly fantastic. Next positive is the gameplay flow. So it's King of Fighters. King of Fighters is what we call a legacy series, in that yes, every version of every game is different game to game to game, but a lot of the core stuff is the same feel is always there, and well, that's there here in this game. Some people may derisively say this is like King of Fighters 14 2 or King of Fighters 14 Plus, and that's not a bad thing, as King of Fighters 14 is one of the best fighting games ever made. And to me, they took everything right with 14, moved it forward, and the few things I did not like about King of Fighters 14, like how at high level play it basically devolved into just crouch short, into max cancel into combo. That's no longer the case as much anyways. If you want to still do it, it's still there, but now the resource you need to put into it is 2 bars instead of 1, so you actually have to commit quite a bit to it. And that small change alone, along with EX everywhere, you can do EX moves whenever you want, versus you could only do them inside of max mode King of Fighters 14. And for the low price of only half a bar, that's really fantastic. So that just opens up tons and tons and tons of freedom in the game. I really love it. And especially some characters have never had EXs before, right? Like the Orochi team, Shermie, Chris, Yashiro, they've never had EX moves ever before, because the last game they were in was King of Fighters 2002. And new characters like Dolores, they have very inventive EXs. So it's just great. There's tons and tons of freedom on top of the usual classic great King of Fighters gameplay. To speak very quickly on some character stuff, we'll go more in detail in a moment here after what I found good and what I found bad. But the new character Dolores is fantastic. The new characters effectively of Yashiro, Chris, Shermie, yes, they've been in the game before, but last time they were in the game was 20 years ago. So for a lot of reasons, they're kind of new, right? They're all done fantastically. Now for the beta, my characters specifically aren't in the beta, but whatever, like that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? But everyone who's there feels great. A lot of characters who are returning feel like the best versions of themselves. Iori in particular feels pretty ridiculous, especially because now he can just EX whenever he wants, right? So even the most basic combos are going to get big returns, and for only, less bar than it was before, right? Don't need to burn the max. Just everyone feels good. Another thing I love is just the general aesthetic. Everything looks so sharp, so clean. I play on 4K monitors at natural 4K because I'm playing on the PlayStation 5, and this game looks beautiful. And combined with this super sharp aesthetic, it just looks great. Like, they could have went a million different ways, and some people might argue they don't like that it's not stylized enough, but for me, it's just cut, it's just clean, it's what it needs to be, no extra fluff. The menus look kind of esportsy, I guess if that's even a term, and inside the game, you just get the details you need presented in a clean and effective way, like the health bar, nice and tight, the guard gauge, nice and tight below it, and the meter, super clean, super readable, and when you have a lot of meters, it actually looks great, like all the yellow, all that kind of stuff. Just everything about this presentation is a complete home run as far as I'm concerned. Certain things I guess you could quibble, like a lot of the backstage characters in the stages. A lot of them are like reused models from King of Fighters 14, but like it's just stage stuff. That's not really that big of a deal. And the stages themselves look quite nice, especially the CYS stage. The band's rocking in the background, the multiple TV setup with like text going around everywhere. This stage looks super clean, and YouTube kills the quality, but the floor tiling is actually immaculate in 4K. If you can see this game in person on a 4K TV, look at the floor tiles, they actually look weirdly good. But yeah, I guess we'll just end the Love Fest part right here, because I like just about everything. I love the gameplay, I like the online, the characters are fun, just about the everything is fun. It's just plain and straight up a good game. So that's the big lovin' part of the video. So now let's talk some quibbles, because while it is great, it certainly isn't perfect, and let's talk about that. Now, one thing I find overall, a lot of the basic combos in the game, like your basic B and Bs, I find those a little bit easier than King of Fighters 14. But one thing that I find very odd is there's some things that are very oddly strict in the timing, and that is some special and super canceling. Like for Dolores, the new character, she has an anti-air grab move, she puts you in like a rock, and that move is super cancelable. So if you get the anti-air grab, you can do a super follow-up afterwards, get some big damage. The problem is the window to cancel into that and get that super is like, oh, I don't even know, like 3 frames at best. Like in the middle of a match, I think I got it off twice in the whole beta. And like, not for lack of trying, right? Because I definitely got the anti-air grab more than a few times. But it's just so strict on the timing, and that's not the only one. Other characters like Shermie, a lot of strict timing. I'm not a KO player myself, but apparently a lot of Rekka timing is now way harder than it ever was in King of Fighters 14. As far as accessibility goes, the days of the hard timing KoF, those should be long gone. Like, no simple inputs, please, right? We don't want that in King of Fighters. But some of the things, some of the windows just for canceling out of stuff, they are definitely too short and they should be upped. Thankfully, that's a pretty easy fix in the end, right? So hopefully that is the case and it'll be fixed come release. I'm definitely not the only one talking about how cancel windows, buffering windows, and all that kind of stuff are on some cases and some characters very oddly strict. There's also an all new motion in the game. It's back, quarter circle back, and a button. So originally when we got the move lists before the beta, they put out a PDF, right? We saw the motion and maybe we thought this is a reverse Dragon Punch and they just kind of screwed it up, right? But no, this move you're seeing right now on the screen, that is back, quarter circle back, and kick. And that motion is actually a lot more difficult to land than reverse Dragon Punch. I've definitely screwed up a few times, and this is an all new character, so whatever, right? Maybe we just deal with it, but Kyo, the red kick, has always classically been reverse Dragon Punch and kick, and now it's been changed to that same motion. A lot of people who are Kyo fans, they're having some difficulty dealing with it. In the guise of a lot of motions have been made a little bit easier in King of Fighters 15 compared to other games in the series, making this all new motion, which is more difficult than the motion it replaces, is certainly a bit odd. And if they just changed this to reverse Dragon Punch, I honestly wouldn't shed a tear. Other stuff like counter hits. So counter hits, just like any fighting game, very big part of the game. One thing I would like is more of a visual tell when you get the counter hit. Like, it certainly says counter on the side of the screen, which is kind of whatever. But if there was like a little bit of a unique spark, a hit spark or something that only happens when you counter hit, that would be fantastic, as counter hits are very important for certain combos and certain conversions, especially if you're doing jumping CD to jumping power attack. because if you get a counter hit with one of those, then you can juggle the enemy afterwards. Normally you can't, right? And that kind of conversion is a very big deal. So I would sincerely love just more visual feedback on a counter hit. Once again, it could just be a different hit spark, a visual effect of some kind, but just something more than just showing counter on the side of the screen. And this is a character-specific quibble, but Shermie was my most played character in the beta, so Shermie, her command grab, she moves forward during the whiff animation, and it actually moves her out of range of catching certain rolls. The idea on wake up, if you try to roll forwards or backwards, right, and I do a command grab, I will command grab you out of your roll. But if you move forward, roll forward rather, and I go for my command grab, because she moves forward while doing it, the animation, it actually whiffs when you try to roll out. Against normal characters who have a stationary command grab, they just do it and whiff if they miss or stay in place otherwise. That normally wouldn't be the case. Shermie's a fun grappler, and she's going to sell copies of your game. Let's get real, right? People like that Shermie. So making her a little better, I think, would be to everyone's benefit. Also, on that note, make stand light kick. It's a 2-hit normal move. Make that special cancelable. The last big quibble, I guess, is on the lobby menus. So this is not an avatar-based lobby like some recent fighting games. This is, a menu-based lobby. And the King of Fighters 14 had basically the best menu lobby in fighting game history. So everyone could go into the room, and then there was just separate little player areas for you to go into, right? And everyone could do that on their own. There's a chat room box on the side, and it just worked. It was really, really good, really, really functional. And I'm kind of shocked they're not doubling down on it. King of Fighters 14's online kind of got a lot of flack, right? And maybe very deservedly so, but that was definitely not the area. That was best in class. That's one of the best lobby experiences you will find in any fighting game. So I would definitely love to see a return to that versus what we currently have. I guess what's in the King of Fighters 15 beta lobby-wise isn't awful, but it's not 14, and 14 was great. All in all, that's about it for more major complaints, I guess. Once again, I'm just pretty happy with almost everything I've seen. I think this is a really, really good game. So that all said, just before we end up the video, just some character notes, some character specifics. One, I spent a lot of time with Shermie, and Shermie is very fun to play. So of the grappler class characters in KoF, she's the pixie, right? She's the fast one. She has, if you play Street Fighter, you know Zangief. She has the equivalent of the running bear grab, except hers is like 4 times faster. And she doesn't get the big grabs off as often as some of the other more true grapplers, but considering she has a bevy of other options, one of the best cross-ups in King of Fighters history. She has plus on block special moves. She's been a real blast to play. If you're looking for the grappler experience, but on a quicker body than you're used to, she has a lot of very strong normals. Her jump CD is a great move. She has her old classic King of Fighters 97, 98 stand heavy punch, which is like the big chop. I've won whole games off the back of that move, and that move alone, that is an amazing neutral button. Shermie definitely gets a thumbs up. The only thing I wish is just stand kick is special cancelable. It is super cancelable, but it would just make life a lot easier if it was special cancelable, because if you want to hit confirm off lights, the timing on that could be a little strict. That said, and Dolores, my other most played character, Dolores is an all-new character to the King of Fighters, and she is a complete home run. Oh my god. Aesthetically, mechanically, any way you want to put it, she's great. Great buttons, jump heavy kick's amazing, stand heavy kick is one of the longest range normals. It might be the longest range normal in the beta, actually, I'm not too sure. It's definitely up there. Her combo structure is really fun. The fact that she has ranged command grabs, she has a true one-frame command grab in her super as well. And this is that command grab, by the way. So single frame startup, you can't jump after the flash. It's great. Her teleport ability is amazing. EX teleport is scary. Oh my god. Don't dare throw a fireball against Dolores, because EX teleport should be on the other side of you before you can even react and get a full combo. The fact she's able to control a lot of the screen, similar to Garrison Mortal Kombat 11, with different button presses on her projectiles. Just everything about Dolores is great. I love the entire package about her. She is so fun and so cool. The only thing I can knock her for, and this isn't a bad thing necessarily, but at least in the beta, she was definitely the most complex character. You definitely can't just go in and mash buttons with her and get any real amount of success. Like, I myself definitely have a lot further to go, but she's definitely a rooflemonger kind of character with all the grabs. In the beta, considering her grab's a range grab and it's a little slower startup, I think it's a very strong move. It's just not very strong in the beta because everyone's mashing buttons like their life depends on it. So no one's standing still long enough to get grabbed. But that's great. I love it. It's cool. The anti-air grab where she just encases you in rock and smashes you is really cool. At first, I was a little iffy on like the mud aesthetic, as it were, because it's holy mud, right? But I do got to say, it's definitely won me over. I think it's just super cool. In the end, it's just really neat. Dolores, 2 big thumbs up. The beta didn't have a lot of my other characters, like in King of Fighters 14, I played Antonov, I played Mai, Shiranui. They're not there, but at the very least, Shermie, Dolores, really cool. A lot of people are liking how Yashiro and Chris is turning out, especially Chris. Chris is gonna be a threat, I guarantee you. Oh my god, right? Kyo and Iori are as strong as ever, and Shune is Shune. But even from the limited roster the beta gave us, everyone plays good, everyone's fantastic. Just everything about this game is good, man. It's such a good game. And really, I guess that's what we're gonna end with, because I've had nothing but a blast. I want to keep playing the game. I can't because the beta's over, right? But I want to keep playing the game. It's such a cool game. It's just, it's over now, right? So we got to wait to February, and man, that's going to be a long wait. But overall, other than some quibbles, I can give nothing but my most overwhelming endorsement for the King of Fighters 15. So if you were somehow on the fence, no longer, I say this is truly a great game for sure. That all said, my friends, that's the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and when the time comes, go out and play some King of Fighters.
This is the love we